One shot. One shot both. Nice.
Entropy claims all. Well.
You will fall.
Boink. One shot. Oh wait, it's dark build. It cannot one shot me.
I shall cast you into a pit of infinite torches.
Pre-shot. Hey guys, after 6 or 7 builds, finally I have a build to show that is worth talking about. Overall, the build is really pleasant to play. For me, this feels like it has good damage, good clear, sort of decent survivability, high mobility as well, almost a relaxing build. You don't need to aim, you pretty much hit the whole screen, almost the whole screen. I'm gonna try to keep this video short and simple. I'm gonna have path of building import code in video description, which you can open, and I will add some notes related to the builds, like about the mercenaries and maybe the budget, I'm not sure. But overall, the build is pretty simple, but it's not gonna be for everyone because it requires you to click 4 buttons, 4 warcries. One warcry is on left click, and then there's a slam, and that's pretty much it. But you don't need to spam them all the time. This is relying on warcry buff effect. So stacking warcry buff effect to get physical as extra fire, or instead you could get base critical strike chance, then movement speed, then armor, then more AoE, and extra damage from allies essentially. And the weapon that I'm actually using is Uul-Netol's Kiss, the non-upgraded version, because you don't need the Bone Nova, and this one has vulnerability on hit, and exerted attacks deal 200% increased damage. I am kind of relying on exerted attacks, and you will always have exerted attacks with all the warcries, and you will permanently have all the warcry buff effects as long as you don't neglect clicking those warcries. But it's very quick warcrying, and it doesn't feel bad, like very quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In a second you can cast pretty much all warcries. And the buff duration is around 12 seconds, maybe a bit longer. I did not time it because I do have one of the rune graphs that buffs on you expire 30% slower, which extends the duration, but it's not shown in the tooltip. This isn't very min-maxed. I just made this build for fun, and I don't really care about providing a min-maxed build. You don't really need anything special. Uul-Netol isn't expensive, and the only other item that you want is either Echoes of Creation unique helmet, which I replaced as soon as I found out that you can get a rare helmet with skills have up to 3% to critical strike chance for each warcry exerting them, which means wait, actually I don't have 5 warcries. Which means you are getting a lot of flat base critical strike chance. It's kind of easy to get 100% critical strike chance, which adds a lot more consistency, and because you are always going to have all the exerts, all the workers exerting it, you can also set in path of building to maximum hit calculation, lining up all the workers. Basically in here, exerted and boosted calculation mode, you select maximum hit. And the average damage for this build is 17 million average hit damage. You can scale more warcries used recently, you can scale more nearby allies. You will always have 5, well not always, against the boss you won't have 5. And you may not always have maximum charges. So if I set everything to max, it's over 20 million average hit damage. This is also using infinite power from, this is Berserker, but it's stealing a node from Chieftain. You do want that infinite power, and not just for the warcry buff effect, but for infinite power as well. When you have infinite power, you don't even need to have minimum power warcry mastery node. You also do not want increased total power counted by warcries, because you will always have the maximum that the warcry can provide. So yeah, the helmet is important, and the weapon is kind of important, but if you got some rare weapon, that can also work. The rest are just covering resistances, getting life, getting a bit of damage here and there. The body armor implicit scan, Eldritch implicit scan have warcry buff effect, but after messing around with it, it's not really that important to have that implicit. You do want a lot of accuracy, so gloves and amulet can have a lot of accuracy. Risata Skull, I only switched to that once I got everything else done, because when you use Risata Skull, you also want your mercenary to have Percule Stow, which will make you your hits be lucky damage, which means it rolls damage twice and picks the higher number. When you use Risata Skull, well, you know how it works, I don't need to explain it. The rest of the gear for the mercenary, I gave this one belt. Your mitigation is weakest against physical and heals. By giving that, you essentially get more mitigation for physical, and also this mercenary, which is a repair or it can be striker, just one determination. Vitality is nice, but just determination alone is all you need. You could also try to get the one with the not fortify, the vigilant strike, but it has to have a support gem that affects allies. Then you would also have fortify, because right now I'm actually using fortify support, which isn't providing the best damage, but it's kind of the easiest way to get fortify as well. This is, by the way, ground slam of earth shaking, not the normal ground slam. Ground slam of earth shaking has like a very wide AoE. You also want enough attack speed, otherwise it feels bad and dangerous when you run to enemies, try to attack, but you are slow and they hit you before you hit them. You definitely want enough attack speed. So ground slam is linked to Fist of War, pulverize, over exertion, critical damage support, which requires quite a bit of intelligence, and fortify. Now, because I'm using rare helmet instead of echoes of creation, I'm not using battle mage cry. So the only other war cry that I can use is infernal cry, which is adding physical as extra fire. So you don't want to use brutality if you're using infernal cry. And because I'm using Infernal Cry, I decided to also add the Herald of Ash. But I also have Blood and Sand in the Blood stance, Precision is very important, and Herald of Purity and Herald of Ash. Now I don't use Flesh and Stone because the AoE is pretty small and the enemies have to be inside the AoE while you are in the Blood stance to get that damage. So I decided to just drop it and just use Herald of Ash for extra bit of fanciness because it looks cool. And a bit of damage as well. So yeah, Enduring Cry is, by the way, it doesn't even have quality, it's not that important, but Enduring Cry, when I use Enduring Cry, I have 1.6 thousand life regen in maps because the mercenary also has vitality. So I have a lot of regen as well, and every time I warcry I also recover 15% of my maximum life because of the mastery. And I do have easy regeneration because so many warcries means I always warcry every like couple of seconds, so it's very easy to sustain rage. And I don't run Berserker buff because it's not as good as it used to be. It does not provide damage mitigation, now it just provides rage effect, and that's not as good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's what else is there to say? From the Pantheon, it doesn't matter. I picked up this one to get less shock on me, and this one to have some mitigation. This one, Defy Pain, is really nice against smaller hits, but against bigger hits I still get one-shotted by some of the mercenaries, especially the bow one. But the way I fight mercenaries is actually, I'm not sure if they are getting damage reduction for the first like couple of seconds, but sometimes it feels like I'm doing absolutely no damage. We take no damage and then suddenly one hit we just die instantly. So usually we die in 1 or 2 hits, but you essentially run backwards, stay at a distance a bit, wait for them to cast their Val skills if they have Val skills, dodge those, and then just slam. From a distance, sometimes I even off-screen them. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I will leave a Path of Building import code in video description. Like I said, if you got some extra questions, check Path of Building. I will write something in the notes section about the mercenaries or some other info. Or if you got some questions, either ask them in the comments below on the YouTube video or check on my stream. I'm streaming every day still, but I won't be streaming for much longer, probably maybe 1 or 2 more weeks. And yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching, and I will see you the next time. Bye bye.